Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Board Masters with me, Chris Mullins, and today I'm going to be bringing my coverage of CoraQuest to an end. Well, until the expansion anyway. But coming to an end with the review. Obviously, we featured the game an awful lot over the past few months with the gameplay campaigns and ranking my favourite heroes and scenarios. So, the clues are already there that this is going to be a very, very positive review. As always, I'll cover the 5 standard categories that I always try and cover with the reviews. So the art style and theme, the component quality, the accessibility, the replayability, and the overall gameplay. So let's dive in, I guess, with the art style and theme. The art style, I absolutely adore it. I think their idea and their philosophy to have kids drawing pictures of the monsters and things that they would encounter in a dungeon and things, and then having those children's pictures basically be upscaled, I guess, a little bit to just make it look genuinely good quality. Well, I don't really know how to word it in terms, because the kids, that saying genuinely good quality kind of says that the kids' pictures aren't good quality, but it's sort of taking that childlike innocence and imperfect flaws and things and just embellishing them in a way that makes it look childlike while still looking absolutely fantastic. And to me, it just makes me want to engage with the game because it looks so unique. I don't have anything that looks like it. It looks fun. It's colourful. Just looks like a game that I want to pick up and play. The theme is really, really fun. Obviously, it's got lots of flavour text throughout, so you're regularly helping out Wizard Pebble Dash and bailing out Kevin and Annabelle, the troublesome gnomes, and it's just really good fun. And overall, I guess, sort of an introduction to dungeon crawlers, and it does that with absolute aplomb. It's just really good fun. The theme's really fun, and I know Alex absolutely adores it. I've got a few friends who also have the game, and I've heard nothing but positive words on it. In terms of the component quality, I suppose, the game is a relatively cheap game. I'll cover that a bit more in the accessibility. So it's standees and cardboard tokens as opposed to like miniatures and metal coins and things like that, which is absolutely fine. You don't need miniatures or anything. Yes, you could ultra deluxify the game if you really wanted to, but there's no need for that. I'm not going to mark it down. Everything is very good quality for what is provided. Like the standees are really good quality, decent thick cardboard. I love the fact that the art style is double-sided in that it's not just the same picture on both sides. It's the character's front and then the character's back. So I don't really have any complaints at all with the component quality. Like I said, it could maybe be deluxified if you really wanted an over-the-top expensive version, but I'm not going to mark it down for it not being that. As for the accessibility, this is going to be a huge win. Obviously, it's the whole point of the game is that it's an introduction to dungeon crawlers, and as I mentioned earlier, it fulfills that with aplomb. It's so good to pick up and play. It's not overly complicated with the rules. It's a great introduction to that sort of strategical and tactical thinking and things. And yes, while it's cooperative, you can help out the younger ones. Certainly with Alex, we tried to sort of let him take the lead and come up with suggestions, because I guess it would be very easy to quarterback and tell the children how to play it. And I think with the value in this game is letting them experiment and discover what will work and what won't. As I also mentioned earlier, it is a relatively cheap game. I think it easily around the £30 mark. I don't think it's in full retail release yet, though. I think it is in some countries, so it might be a bit hit and miss getting hold of a copy. They, as I mentioned earlier, again, mentioning a lot earlier, they do have an expansion coming to crowdfunding, I think Kickstarter, in October, which I am 99% certain they will be offering the base game in as well, so it may be easier to get it through that. So yeah, accessibility is generally a win. It just may be a little bit tricky getting hold of it. I guess that's the only negative point, but again, that's going to get easier with time. In terms of the replayability, it's almost infinite, I guess. There are 10 scenarios in the box. There's 2 difficulty settings. There are 8 heroes off the top of my head. So there are countless ways of combining them to make your way through the scenarios. You, like I said, 2 difficulty two difficulty settings in terms of normal enemies and tough enemies. There's also 2 different game durations. So there's a short game, there's a long game. So you can really tailor it however you want. And the thing that gives it sort of infinite replayability is that there is community involvement, in that Dan and Cora very much support the community design in their own quests. Within the box, there are blank item cards and monster cards so that people can design their own and upload them. And once you get that sort of community engagement, then it really does give endless longevity to a game, which is a massive win. And I mean, for the price point, it makes it an absolute bargain, because your cost per play is going to be tiny. So replayability is a massive win. Onto the core gameplay, and again, I think it's a triumph. It is a fantastic introduction to dungeon crawlers. Obviously, if you're looking for something a bit heavier, it's not going to be that game for you. And if you watched my favorite heroes one, I would say that Healer Cat in particular is not very well balanced out of the heroes. That is probably a minor niggle, because all the other heroes I would be more than happy to play with, but we did find after a couple of scenarios, nobody wanted to be Healer Cat because her power just isn't good enough. And I suppose with the 10 scenarios in the core box, a lot of them have the similar mechanics, which again you would expect, but there was, I think, only one scenario that really made us have to change our tactics and strategies up, because generally, as long as you don't explore too much and don't explore at the end of the player turn, you're going to be fairly comfortable, certainly on the standard difficulty. You're not going to have too many failures. Whereas there was one scenario where basically the dungeon is flooding, you're against the clock, it becomes a whole different game, and more scenarios that sort of change up the core mechanic like that would definitely have been appreciated. But again, it's a fairly minor quibble, because I think in my favorite scenarios video, I think 3 or 4 of them came from the second 5 scenarios of the game, the back 5, if you will. So even though you were doing much the same things, they did add in extra mechanics like getting stunned or being smelly, and adding extra heroes in, or there's one where who you think is going to be a villain actually joins you as a hero. And so there is more than enough variety in the game box that it doesn't get stale in the course of that campaign. But it just would have been nice to have a little bit more variety. But yeah, bit of a minor niggle, and hopefully that will be remedied in the expansion. So onto the score, and again, as you can guess probably from the content, it's going to be very positive. I have a few niggles with it, and it's maybe not the easiest to get hold of at the moment. So I'm probably going to give it a 9.5 on that, because it absolutely smashes its aim in terms of being a fantastic introduction to dungeon crawlers. The art style theme is wonderful. The components, whilst not absolutely deluxeified, are perfect for the game itself and outstanding for the price point. The accessibility is wonderful, other than maybe there may be a little bit of difficulty trying to get hold of a copy. Other than that, it's a triumph. Replayability, as I said, almost endless. And the gameplay, apart from maybe Healer Cat's balancing, I would probably say have her roll 2 red dice for her healing ability instead of 2 white, and that would probably resolve it for me. And just a tad more variety in the structure of some of the quests, just to change up the core strategies. But again, like I said, minor quibbles. So yeah, that is CoraQuest, and it is a 9.5 from me. Absolutely adore this game. Cannot wait for the expansion. But that is it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. Look after yourself, stay safe, and have a good one. Bye bye now.